Hey. All right. So this time, before we jump into the full workshop, I'm going to test the sound because wasn't that a snafu last moon? Yay. Before we jump into the full workshop, I'm going to test the sound because wasn't that a snafu last moon? Yeah. All right. Perfect. Seems to be working. I'm excited. We got some good lighting going on today. And it is a Virgo new moon. How have you guys been feeling? Oh my God. Ugh, I don't know about you, but my phone has been, I always know when a moon's going to be a doozy because my phone goes ape. Between clients and girlfriends and, friends of clients and girlfriends, everybody kind of hits me up and is like, what's going on, Cass? I'm losing my head. And sometimes moons are good, I mean, I hate to use the terminology good and bad, right? It's kind of like some are easier and more gentle and more exciting. And then others can be a little bit more challenging, give us a little bit more work to muddle through. And they all serve their purposes, as we always talk about here on Aprecity. So this Virgo new moon, I love, because you guys know, one of my favorite things about the moons is that it really unites us all. It reminds us that we're all in this together and we're all kind of fish in the same ocean, right? Because the difference is some of us are, maybe older fish, stronger fish that know how to navigate the currents better, and other of us are going to get tossed around a little bit more with the currents. But we're all kind of dealing with the same weather conditions. So it is a time to have tremendous compassion. I think sometimes we can forget about that when we're in our own hurricane. And this is something that I always think about, right? Like when you're in a hurricane, and what I would call your own personal hurricane is kind of when you're dealing with a lot of shit, when you're in overwhelm, when you're in anxiety, when you're kind of dealing with maybe like heavy things coming up or feeling super irritated. To remind yourself that it's likely that a lot of other people around you are feeling the same things, right? So like if you're in the ocean and you're swimming and it's cold and it's choppy and it's tossing you around and maybe it's making you exhausted, and you look over to someone next to you and you're like, oh my God, they're being so annoying, like flailing around, right? You can kind of take that moment and be like, oh wow, they're navigating the same ocean that I am. Which can bring us more compassion and more love for them, because the truth is that we all are navigating the same ocean together, and oftentimes it's hard when you're dealing with your own stuff to take a look and to see, look at someone else and say, oh my God, they're dealing with this too. Actually, one of my girlfriends just had a beautiful example of this happen to her this morning. She was calling me up about some of the stuff that was going on for her, and she was like, Cass, does this have to do with the moon? What's going on? And she had this really frustrating conversation with someone that she worked with that was kind of passive aggressive and was kind of really them going back into their old patterns. But because in that first moment, all she was thinking about was what was going on with her. She was like, oh my God, like, is this going to ruin our business situation or whatever? And then when I was talking to her a little bit about the moon, we were able to kind of see like, oh wow, like the same way she's right now in a couple other different areas of her life, and as most of us are right now, a little bit up in a tizzy and a little bit kind of like maybe scattered and kind of mulling through what's going on right now and feeling that little bit of anxiety or overwhelm and exhaustion, all of these things that could be coming up for many of us right now, is thinking exactly the same thing is going on for her business colleague, right? So he's dealing with it with a whole different set of tools, like she's a yogi, she's more, attuned to riding these waves, where here he is, you call him like a civilian or whatnot, right? He's someone that's not in tune with what's going on. All he knows is what his experience is, what he's feeling, right? And that's why I think it's so important for us to know what's going on with the moons, to really tap into that energy, because if you can tap into the energy, it's actually 1,000 times easier to navigate, because now it's almost like you realize that like it's raining, but you're not making the rain, if that makes any sense to you guys. Because if you go around thinking every time it's raining, anytime it's cloudy outside, that that's your fault, you're doing something wrong, it makes it a lot harder to navigate the rainy, cloudy days. Whereas if you're like, oh, it's just a rainy, cloudy day today, so I'm going to put on a sweatshirt and make some tea and, you know, do things I like to do on rainy, cloudy days and kind of do what I need to do to navigate that. It doesn't have to be a bad thing at all. It's just a thing, right? It's like, okay, just like right now, you know, like yesterday for me, I had tremendous amount of anxiety in the morning. I have, you know, I talk about my inbox all the time, and it's really sad. I hate that I always talk about it, but it's true. It's an ongoing, constant thing of never-ending emails, and I feel so terrible when I don't get back to people right away. But sometimes it's just not physically possible with all of the other things I need to get done in a day. And like I was feeling that in a very intense level yesterday, and I knew it was because of the new moon. And the Virgo energy really wants us to like have everything neat and ordered and organized and like get everything in its little boxes. And so a lot of anxiety comes up with that, because right now there's probably a lot of things in your life like that that you might want to straighten up, that you might want to clean up and like, you know, perfect and clean off and dust and whatnot, where it's not necessarily perhaps physically possible to do all of the cleaning and sorting out that you want to do. And then that creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of overwhelm inside of a lot of us. So to really be able to see that energy and to, one, realize, like I said before, that everyone else is dealing with this too. So have a little compassion for people this week if, you know, maybe things might be going a little bit slower business-wise or email-wise, communication-wise, because a lot of people right now are going to be in that energy of anxiety and overwhelm and really just trying to like stay afloat and get all the things done. And depending on their priority list and depending on how well they're able to navigate and manage everything, might slow up some things. It might, I mean, you might notice some of your friends just kind of need like some time to themselves this week, or maybe they need some extra support. And the support they're needing is really just to ground them and reassure them that they're doing the best they can. Me and my girlfriends text around this little mantra when we're in it, and it's like, you are enough and you do enough. You are enough and you do enough. You are enough and you do enough. And that's just a good thing to remind yourself right now, that you are enough just as you are, just where you are today, and you do enough. And that means whatever you're able to do is perfect. And you don't need to put that, you know, we had that kind of Virgo spotlight of pressure of kind of being like the shadow side of Virgo is very critical. It's very organized. It's, you know, let's have a schedule. Let's stick to it. Let's get this spreadsheet done. Let's put everything in the neat little, nice little boxes. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's not always possible, right? Life is messy, and we're in a time right now, and this new moon is kind of the analogy that Mystic Mama gave, which I really liked, was like throwing up a jigsaw puzzle. And you throw up a jigsaw puzzle and you're like, oh my God, all of the pieces are like in the air right now. And then you're collecting it and you're like one by one putting the piece together. And there's some anxiety perhaps that's coming up with that, with you being like, oh my God, well, what if like a piece got lost in the couch? Or like, what if a piece just like flew off and maybe I'm missing a piece? Maybe I'm not going to be able to put this jigsaw puzzle together. Or you're like, oh my God, what if it's going to take like 5 days to put this jigsaw puzzle together? And to just know that like the message in that and the Virgo message in that is to really just be like, it's okay, just be present with what you can do today. Like, look at the jigsaw puzzle, start making some of the connections, but also don't kill yourself in the worry or the anxiety or the overwhelm that you have to finish everything like today, right? So that's a lot of the energy that's going on. And there's a lot of interesting aspects going on right now. And so, you know, I don't believe in astrology as fear mongering or, you know, anything like that. But I do want to say that I feel like I would be holding something back from you. If I didn't say that, I think my biggest advice right now until the weekend, from now until the weekend, is to really just be with your thoughts. Be with your thoughts. Be with what's coming up. This is actually a new moon where I would say don't get into action right away, because of some of the aspects in the sky right now. There is this element of you thinking that you can see something super clearly that you know, like, what is what about, that you're actually an illusion about. And it's like, I don't know, it's dangerous, seems dramatic, but it can be a little bit of a dangerous aspect, because there could be something, let's say with a disagreement you're having with another person, where you're very much, you know, thinking like, I'm seeing this situation very clearly, very, you know, clear-minded, but, and I need to tell them what it is, you know, and I need to just be honest with them. I need to speak my truth, right? And if you really take a step back and look at that truth, there might be an element of that truth that could hurt that person. There might be an element of that truth that's kind of saying like, well, I just have to tell her how it is. And, you know, that's the kinder thing then, you know. And so anything at all like that, I would say just hold up. Don't say anything. Don't have any big discussions. Don't make any big proclamations or statements until after the weekend. Like, just sit on it. Like, it's okay. Whatever comes up, you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling so frustrated around so-and-so. Okay, write it out, write it down, collect your thoughts, and then chill out. Chill out for a few days. Don't do anything drastic. Don't have those big conversations right now. One, because they're also in a hurricane. Two, you're in a hurricane even if you don't feel like you are. And three, because there is an aspect right now that's really triggering you to be looking through the aspects of your past wounds, right? So let's say you usually have, like, you've had some girlfriends stab you in the back in the past, right? So you might be, like, your vision might be tainted with, like, girlfriends are going to stab me in the back glasses, right? So you're looking through it with that aspect of, oh my God, like, these bitches are out to get me, right? And you are probably going to think that you are super right and you're super clear. But if you resonate with me and, you know, hey, there would be no harm. There's no harm, even if you are right, let's say, in you waiting a few days to approach the subject. I think it's a great rule of thumb in life in general. Like, if you feel, it's funny because I'm listening right now to this book, The 5-Second Rule, which I think is great for any of you guys who are interested. And like, what are the premises of the 5-second rule is that you have 5 seconds to get something from a thought to an action. And I think this can be helpful in certain aspects, but I think under this moon, I would say don't. But yeah, like, it's kind of like this concept of like you cheating yourself out of your head and doing something almost impulsive, but in the way of being like, oh, you know, I need to send that person an email. Just sending them an email instead of waiting for your mind to get in there and kind of navigate, should I send them an email? Is it appropriate to send them an email? Should I wait till tomorrow to send them an email? Which I think 99% of the time is the way to do things, is to just get into action on things. And when it comes up, do it. Because as soon as your head gets involved, things get tricky. But, you know, like I said, with this new moon, even with the setting of intentions, I'm going to set some intentions today. It actually kind of came up for me just cyclically with my business and how things are going, that, like, you know, right now it's a great time for me to kind of just reassess, take a look at things and really see, okay, like, what are my realistic, you know, year goals, 6-month out goals in different areas of my life and my business. And, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write them down today. I'm going to set them down today, and then I'm going to revisit them. I'm going to revisit them this weekend, and I'm going to meditate on them again. I'm going to say, do these still feel aligned? And so one of the things that we're going to talk about in this workshop, we're going to do in this workshop, is really surrendering and inviting in to our decision-making process. Because I think it's so important, whether it is this kind of cosmically charged time right now that we're in, or, months from now or whatever, if you're watching this workshop, capacity at any time to make decisions and choices and thoughts from fear or from our truth, from the chaos around us and the energy that's getting bounced around us in our lives, or from our own energy source or divine energy source. And so I think it's always helpful to remember, where is the divine in this? Where is the God in this? Where is my higher power in this? And so I think that can be like a really esoteric concept sometimes, and something that I think everybody that's watching this knows, right? If you're a member of Aprecity, you already like connect with that. But on the real, it's like, how much do you actually connect to that on a moment-to-moment, daily basis? When you wake up, when you're checking your emails, when you're going to see a client, when you're going to your office, when you're having dinner with a loved one, how many times are you really inviting in the divine, inviting in a higher power, inviting in God, and saying, I would like to bring, bring the God in this situation. And I think it's something that's been really, really helpful for me, that really resonates with this new moon, is saying, let your higher power be your ultimate thought checker, be your ultimate kind of editor, reviewer of your life, right? You can create these ideas. I almost think of it like a cycle, right? Like, you can create these ideas from the ground up inside of you, coming, from your root chakra, your sacral chakra, moving through your heart, right? You even think of like how things can move through all your chakra system, right? That would work too. And so maybe you create this idea, and maybe the idea is whatever it is. Let's say the idea is, well, I'm, immersed in book writing with my amazing Lightmaker book club right now. So the idea is about this book that you want. Great. So bringing up this book idea, letting it sit in your heart, seeing, how that morphs it and changes it and shifts it and where your heart's at, but then also just giving it up to your higher power, giving it up to the divine, and saying, here, look at this. Look at what I've created. Look at this research report I've written. Look at this cake that I baked, whatever, you want to call it, and then tossing it up and saying, okay, well, now let me know. Let me know what you think, right? And when we do that, we allow for the grace to step in, right? In instances where I've done that in difficult conversations, I've literally watched myself show up in a way that I don't think I could have mind effed myself into doing, if that makes any sense. There has been, there's actually a beautiful example of this. When I knew I was going to have a difficult kind of breakup conversation with this gentleman, and I was scared. I didn't know, it's so often when you're in a heightened emotional conversation like that, that you can get triggered and go back to your past tendencies, your past, all of the things that get triggered when you're in a state like that, like your abandonment issues or your passive aggressiveness or any of those kind of all of the gunk that could have ever lived inside of you can come up in those moments, or where it's particularly emotionally triggered. So before we even started the conversation, I gave it up to God. And I literally said, God, I don't know the best way to say this. I don't know how to say this with grace and class, how to say this in a way that truly communicates the best of my abilities. I'm going to need your help to step in. And I'm giving it up to you. I am the vessel as much in this conversation as I am when I'm a vessel on these workshops, as I am when I'm a vessel with my clients, as I am a vessel in meditations. And all those other areas are so natural for me to be a vessel. But then, there's these little human situations that we forget that we're still vessels in. So anyway, I do it. And the most beautiful thing happened. I get on this phone call. It was a very difficult phone call. It was not pleasant. It was not pleasant in the way of like, obviously it was disappointing what was going on between us, but it was so pleasant actually, and so beautiful and so graceful, because the way I watched myself show up, it was almost like I was watching myself do me, and was astounded by myself, because I was just handling it with such like, just such class and kindness, and not, you know, not going into any of my any like potential bad behaviors that could have been there. And when I hung up the phone, and I called a couple of my girlfriends and I told them what went down and how the conversation went, they were like, Cass, like, was that even you on that call? Like, were you on something? Like, what did you do? How did you show up like that? Because I mean, they've known me through a lot of stuff. So they're like, that's crazy that you were able to show up so kind of like clean and light and matter of factly, and didn't really like even pry or get into anything or ask too many questions, or get too emotional. And I really was like, it was God. It was my higher power coming through. I fully surrendered it. And I have that experience all the time when I'm working with people one-on-one. Because when I'm working with someone one-on-one, it's not me that gives the advice. It's, a higher power that speaks through me to give advice that's infinitely better than I could give with my human head. And, same thing when I do these workshops and stuff like that. And it's like bringing that same energy into every aspect of our lives. And being able to say, hey, like, God, speak through me on this date. God, speak to me on this challenging email I have to write to my boss. Speak to me on this text message I have to send to a friend who just sent me something super passive aggressive or whatever, right? It's bringing the divine in. And I think this moon is really here to remind us of that, because to make the best choices under this energy with this new moon in Virgo will be to really welcome in that surrender, and that, the divine into whatever it is you're doing, asking, where is the divine in my feet in this situation? How is it influencing how I move? And before we make any grand assumptions or grand gestures, or, even when you're writing your goals, be like, where's God in my goals? Where is my higher power in my goals? Where is my highest self? And making sure you're writing them from that place. So we're going to do a meditation today to really help hopefully calm any of your nerves that have been a little frazzled, get you back into your heart center and out of your head, because Virgo energy is very heady. And then from that heart-centered place, really open up to kind of what we're ready to create, to really kind of cut through a lot of the muck and be able to maybe fact check some of the things that we've already been thinking of coming into this meditation through our higher power, through our heart, and as well as when we look into the intentions and the things we're willing to put forward with this new moon, the new beginnings we're ready to start this full moon, really just surrendering them up to our higher power and allowing them to be reviewed for our highest good, right? All right, so get yourself into a comfortable position. And then I like the lighting in my house is so nice today. So rare. All right. All right, so close your eyes. Hopefully you're in a nice juicy place. Put your palms facing up. And just start taking some nice deep breaths. In your nose, out your mouth. And just allowing any stress, any strain, any tension at all that has come up today to just leave your body. Each exhale, just feel it draining from your body. Feel your body kind of emptying out of any of the overwhelm, any of the anxiety that might have been piling up on it. And feel your shoulder blades melt down, your forehead soften, your eyelids become heavy. And if there's any particular space in your body where you tend to hold a whole big glob of tension, tightness, maybe even minor amounts of pain, just breathe into that right now. And really feel on every inhale your breath going in there and cleaning it out, doing its little Virgo cleansing and removing. And on your exhale, just getting that out of your physical being, moving it out into the air around you to take it away from you. And then once you feel like you've drained any and all tension and anxiety, and if you don't feel that way, keep working on it for a few more breaths. Really get in there, really release that. Set that intention to just allow yourself to ground right now, to allow yourself to just be. Allow being to just be perfectly enough for just this next short while, if that's it. And feel free to add some noise on the exhale, just really allowing any of that to move through your body. If you need to sigh it out, it's going to be so healing to just get it out that way. And remember that these tools are always here for you to use, even if you take 5 minutes in the middle of a crazy day, 5 minutes before you respond to a text message, before you send that email, to just do a little inventory, to clear out any tension, any anxiety in your body, to just ground yourself into a nice, centered, relaxed state from which you can move with a clearer head, you can move with more grace and more ease, and make sure that whatever your actions are truly aligned. All right, and now let's start breathing in some nice bright white light. I really want you to flood on your inhale, just flood your whole body with white light. And then on your exhale, just imagine it cleaning and clearing and releasing out into the air, moving any of the particles that it needed to get out of your body out. And then another beautiful bath of white light on your inhale, releasing, cleansing on your exhale. And just keep on doing this and really just feel the light as it kind of literally lightens you, releases any heaviness, raises your vibration to a place where you're almost peering above the clouds at yourself. And just allow yourself to enjoy that experience. And now just bring your attention to your heart center, as if all the light has now collected in that center of your being, and you're just breathing into your heart center and just really connecting. And just notice if you're in a different space when you're breathing in this area, when you're really focusing on your heart center, when you're allowing that to be your center of gravity, from perhaps when we started this meditation or when we started this workshop and you're probably in your head. Just notice the difference in the energy. What are the qualities of this heart space? How does your head feel while you're in your heart space? How does your whole body feel while you're in this heart space? So often as we navigate life, where one of the questions I get so much from clients and students is, how do I know? How do I know if it's the voice of my soul or the voice of my ego? How do I know if it's my head or my heart? And so it's so valuable just to make a little mental memory of how this feels right now. Wow. When I'm truly sitting in my heart space and I'm really allowing that to be my center and my source. What does it feel like in every cell of my body? And how does that compare to when I'm more in my headspace, right? Which, when we were talking earlier, you most certainly were. And now I want, if there's something that's been on your mind, something that's maybe been coming up for you that has been particularly triggering with overwhelm or anxiety, or feeling like you need to say something to someone, prompt something that's been going on, I just want you to allow it to arise in your heart center. Just bring that idea into this heart center as you keep on breathing into your heart. And almost feel it sitting there, just holding it there. And just allowing it to be purified by your heart as you're breathing in and out. Just allow yourself, you're not manipulating, you're not doing anything, you're just bringing it into your heart center and allowing that energy to just purify it, clarify it, move it around however it will, and just breathing into it and being the observer right now. And when you feel like it's been cleansed by your heart, when it's shape shifted as much as it needs to, and then I want you to bring it up feel like energetically bring it up through your throat chakra, through your third eye, through your crown, and out. And I want you to throw it up like you're letting a balloon go, right? You're letting a balloon go into the sky, and you're giving it to whatever your higher power is, whatever you resonate with. Whether it's God, whether it's love, whether it's source energy, the universe, the earth, whatever you want to give it to, I want you to say, hey, this is, it's almost like if this was a paper that you wrote for school, right? You wrote the paper, you allowed your heart, maybe your heart would be like your mom checking it over just to make sure you didn't miss any I's, cross any T's, anything like that. And now you're bringing it into an even larger report checker. And just surrendering that over, and really just as you give that up with the prayer and the intention of just please take this and purify it for the highest good of me and all involved, and let me know the actions you want me to take, the steps you want me to take, and make it really clear. And right now, I'm just going to sit here in a receptive place. I'm going to navigate these waves that I'm feeling and allow you to get that back to me in the divine timing that you're ready to. And then when you're ready, and take as much time as you need to surrendering that, then when you're ready, just find yourself back in your heart energy, your heart space. And now from back in this heart space, I want you to just sit with what intentions, what new beginnings are you ready to create right now? What are the things that are coming up for you on this new moon to get into action, to get some momentum on, to really plant seeds of in your life right now? And once again, I just want you to be the observer in this situation. I want you to just see what's coming up for you. What are these desires? Is there some perfectionism in them that needs to be purified? Is there any not enoughness in them that needs to be purified? And just allow them, as you're breathing them into your heart space, just allow your heart to really purify the intentions behind them. And one by one, as you feel like they're purified, as you feel like they're really kind of been washed with your heart energy, I want you to do the same thing. Like imagine them really, actually, I love this balloon analogy, is imagine you're putting them into the balloon. You're putting them into this beautiful balloon, one at a time. Each intention gets the balloon. And you're just sending it up to your higher power, to God, to something, an all-knowing presence that knows better than you what your highest and truest good is for. And just feeling that surrender inside about them. and saying whatever little prayer you might want to say, throwing it up with any intention. I always say, dear God, please take this out of my hands. Um, Let me know what is in my highest good. Lead me to the actions you need me to take in order to, move this forward if it is for my highest good. And just purify my mind of any wrong thinking. And so, whatever resonates with you as you surrender that and go through all of your intentions. Hopefully, you have no more than 5. I know this Virgo energy can make you want to have like 20 different intentions. So try to simplify it to 5 really big ones, or 3 even better if you can get it down to 3 and give them up. And when you're done giving all of those balloons up, I want you to imagine that there is this source of energy that's coming up from that sky, that universe, that God, that love, that whatever it is up there, your mentors, your guides, your angels, whoever you're connecting with, whoever you gave those balloons up. Now they're sending this energy right back down into you through your crown chakra, and they're gonna play a little short film for you in your head. And this short film is really going to be the manifestation of those intentions when they're in their purest, highest good form. And so just sit back, relax, and feel that like almost like a projector coming in through from the ethers, coming out your third eye, projecting it in your mind's eye of what does the manifestation of those intentions look like when they're in their highest and truest form. And just sit back, relax, and watch. And just breathing in everything you're seeing, allowing it to saturate all of the cells in your being, how it looks like, how it feels, how you're watching yourself moving through whatever actions you might need to take. And then we're just going to take a couple deep breaths to close. Take a nice deep breath in and just solidify anything you saw, those intentions that you surrendered, all of that energy. Just allow it to crystallize in your body, holding in the highest and truest good and the good, relaxed feeling about it. And exhale. And another deep, deep, deep breath. And we're just going to breathe in the gratitude for everything that's to come, for the anticipation, for this beautiful journey we're all on. And exhale. And one last time, deep, deep, deep breath in, just setting a big, beautiful, juicy intention for how you approach everything for this next few weeks ahead. And holding it in our heart and our mind's eye, and exhaling. And slowly and gently moving your fingers and your toes and coming back into the room. Right on time, the street cleaner comes. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this. I hope that I brought you some relief and relaxation if you are in the midst of a storm right now. I hope it brought you some clarity. As always, write down what you saw in that film. Write down those intentions and hold them. Like I said, even though we did this meditation, hold them and really sit with them. And then I would advise in the next 3 days, over the weekend, maybe just take a look back at them, after your meditation or before your meditation. And really just do a little inventory and be like, okay, do I still feel really aligned with this? And again, if there's something that you wanted to say or a drastic action you wanted to take, something like that, wait until the weekend and then sit with it again and say, okay, do I still think this is in my highest and truest good? Get into that heart center where we felt what our heart center feels like. And make sure you're in that space when you're making that kind of decision, when you're having that kinds of conversation. And lastly, but certainly not least, during this time, have compassion. Have compassion. And really remember that, when you're going through the muck, when you're exhausted, when you're overwhelmed, when you're anxious, when you're feeling triggered emotionally about something that's gone on, that it's happening for a lot of people around you. So, we're all humans and no one is exact. So, whether it is a boss or a coworker or a partner or a girlfriend or whatever it is that maybe isn't responding the way you want to right now, see if you can see that again through the eyes of your heart, through the eyes of empathy, and And again, have some compassion for them. Like I keep on saying, let everybody ride these waves, and then like let's catch each other on the shore early next week, and make the moves then. So I hope this was helpful. As always, would love to hear from you in the Facebook group. Let us know what your intentions are. Let us know how you're surfing these waves, and thank you for joining us. Bye.